Final chapter, my ass. Oh, hello, internet fans, and welcome to 3B Video. I'm your host, Rotten Roger DeMarco, and today we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 found footage films.
Found footage film. That's a little tough to say.
Then what better way than to jump into the found footage subgenre of horror? Hopefully there's a couple flicks on this list that you haven't heard of, so let me know if you check out some of these movies, and then also let me know your top 5 in the comments. But let's get started, shall we? Coming in at number 5 is Fernando Barreda Luna's 2010 film, Atrocious. Yeah, buddy, every time I get a chance to put this movie over on somebody, I do so. So if you haven't heard of that film, here is a brief plot synopsis. You got a teenage brother and sister, and they're sort of investigating this local urban legend that sort of surrounds their property. This movie starts off scary and then never lets up. It's hyper violent, wicked crazy, lots of blood, lots of running, lots of shaky cam shit that you would expect, but this movie is fucking amazing. So do yourself a favor and check out Atrocious now, or at the end of this video. So coming in at number 4 is the Patrick Brice 2014 film, Creep.
Oh, yes.
I wish I had a wolf mask. Okay, so for those of you who don't know about this film, here's a brief plot synopsis. So Mark Duplass plays this character named Joseph, who hires a videographer to come out to his house so he can make this little sort of documentary about his last couple of days or last month on Earth so he can leave something for his family. And that seems innocent enough, but the movie starts out kind of heartwarming and then kind of just turns up that creep factor, I suppose, hence the name Creep. This movie caught me off guard, blows me away, and I absolutely love this movie. So if you're a fan of this subgenre and you have not seen Creep, you gotta make that a reality, because this movie will bother you to the core. At least it did for me. Moving on to my number 3, Adam Green's Digging Up the Marrow. Found footage Nightbreed, sign me up. Okay, so for those of you who don't know about this film, here is a brief plot synopsis, other than the fact that it's a found footage version of Nightbreed. Ray Weiss plays this retired police detective who has evidence that monsters are real. And he reaches out and contacts Adam Green and says, I want you to tell this story. They do this whole pseudo documentary type deal, and this movie is hilarious, this movie is scary, and this movie has fantastic practical effects by Rob Pendergraft. And I love this movie so much. If you haven't seen this one, put it on the list. Go seek this one out, because man, oh man, is this a very fun way to kill an hour and a half. Take my word for it. So coming in at number 2 is the Chris Lamartina and James Branscombe 2013 film, the WNUF Halloween Special. This one, wow. This one might have slipped under a lot of your radars, and you have got to seek this one out immediately. This almost made my number 1, which is always the case with my number 2. It's always a battle. But for those of you who don't know about this film, here is a plot synopsis. This plays very straightforward as a recorded live broadcast from the 80s. These news reporters and psychics go to investigate this supposed haunted house. And this broadcast is complete with commercial breaks every 20 minutes with made-up commercials that are fucking hilarious. Tons of great stuff, and it just really captures that VHS aesthetic. You have to do yourself a favor if you're into that very retro vibe. You want to laugh, you want to see some gross stuff, you want to just have a really good time. This is the movie for you, because holy crap, guys. So find it and buy it. Wish your monies. It's a George St. Pierre, NOS active power energy drink reference that's old as shit. But I did it anyway because I can. And coming in at number 1, Scott Glosserman's 2006 film, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. For those of you who don't know about this film, here is a brief plot synopsis. You have a documentary film crew following around Leslie Vernon, a serial killer in the making who is attempting to create and leave a legacy so he can be mentioned among the lofty legends such as Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers. And it takes this very satirical route in showing you all of the slasher movie tropes and all of those things, but it's satirical, but it's done sincerely. It's a very fine line that this film walks. And then the final act switches from a found footage film into a real movie. This movie is so influential to me and so fun and has always been one of my favorite films. I'm so glad that there are pockets of people who are finally discovering this movie and giving it the time of day, because this is a staple. It's so good, and that's why it had to make my number one. And I know that there are probably a couple of you out there saying, well, where was Paranormal Activity or where was Blair Witch Project? I totally sympathize with that, and I have done my fair share of building those films up and talking about those films a lot. So when I made this list, it was a very conscious decision to exclude certain films and shed some light on some of these different indie films that really, really need the eyes on them, that didn't have the push, say, of a Paranormal Activity or even the Blair Witch once the Blair Witch got rolling. So that's my list. Let me know yours in the comments, because man, there are hundreds of found footage films that I haven't seen yet, and I would love to know about some more of them. So hit me up in the comments and let me know what I'm missing, because I don't think we have enough movies at 3B Video right now. And again, this list of films, they might not be Oscar worthy or, critically acclaimed in the world outside of the video store, but in here at 3B Video, these B movies are the movies. I suppose I should probably get going, because after all, there's a lot of movies out there. Somebody's got to watch them, so why not me, right? Might not have been the final chapter, but it was the best chapter.